College football is going to take center stage over the next 2 days. Friday night championship games into Saturday championship games. And we're going to cover those and have a lot of fun in this hour. Coach Terry Bowden joins us in the next segment to make sure we understand exactly what's at stake and also gets the coach's thoughts on who's actually making the college football playoff and who's going to be left out. We have 1 hour to end this week in style, Joe. I know I am ready for the task. I got to ask you, Joe, are you ready? Are you?
I am ready to roll here. We got a lot that is going to be decided this weekend here, Donnie, and of course, still a few more very important games coming up in the NFL over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, heck of a way to start, though, the final month of the year.
By the way, you know what we are missing tonight, though? It used to be the Friday night. Wasn't it the Pac-12 that had their championship game on the Friday night before championship weekend? Like, I think we still need, like, there are appetizers tonight. But I did like the fact that we started the week with a big power conference having their championship game. We get back to that in the next couple of years. Or the Big Ten goes to, like, 25 teams and absorbs, like, the Big 12 at that point. Make it make sense. By the way, also, Joe, real quick on the topics. The Big Ten, why is it called the Big Ten? Like the Pac-12 used to be the Pac-10. Like they always change with the number of teams. Why doesn't the Big Ten move off of the Big Ten? It doesn't even make sense. Can I file a class action lawsuit for that?
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I think they sat in a room and was like, if we call it the Big 28, it doesn't have the same effect, I think. That's the problem. So it just didn't roll off the tongue as well, Donnie. I think that's why.
It is great. Like, again, like, hey, we're the Atlantic Coast Conference. Hey, Cal's in it. Oh, Cal's in Georgia? No. Cal's in California. Oh, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yes. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense at that point right now. It is what it is, Joe. Yeah, well, I mean, come on. I mean, Stanford's in the ACC still. I mean, stop the madness at this point. Yep. But it is what it is at this point, Joe. Here's the early lineup, the hottest topics, which includes Billy Napier back in town, back in business at a group of 5. Went to Florida, and look, you always hope good things work out for people. And I'm not a Gators fan, but I'm sure Gator Nation, when he came there, was saying, all right, we'll give it a chance. But did anybody at Gator Nation or across the country go, that's the hire? Napier's going to take them to the next thing. Like, he's going to be better than Spurrier. He's going to be better than Urban Meyer. Like, nobody had that. And couldn't we all see the outcome? Yeah, this doesn't going to work. And also, Joe, when we talk about other schedules in the marketplace here, like what Penn State gets every year and who they have to play, how can you survive with the schedule Florida gave you the past 2 years? Nick Saban would have got fired with that schedule, Joe.
Yeah, no, they didn't do him any favors at all in that spot. And he wasn't exactly an offensive guru either. So they've had some quarterback issues. They had a lot of things going the wrong way there. But he heads back to the Sun Belt, Donnie, where, that's kind of where he made his bones with Louisiana. And that's how he catapulted himself into the job at Florida. So he's very familiar with the conference, and he's going to inherit a really, really good James Madison program. And I think he's going to do great there.
By the way, the Sun Belt always makes me laugh, too. And I think Sun Belt's like, UTEP and schools down in the Southwest. Yeah, JMU, is they in the Rio Grande? Is that where they're at? Oh, no, that's right. They're in the Northeast here. Again, come on, college football. Get your act together at this point here. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's going to get his act together off the court. Hey, got to get healthy. On the court, let me ask you this, too, Joe, because he's out 2 to 4 weeks. Do we see Giannis play again in a Milwaukee uniform? How about that question?
And that is a great question, Donnie, because everyone would lead you to believe that, this is to make sure nothing happens to him while they work behind the scenes to get his exit out of Milwaukee. That's certainly what this feels like here. It could be coincidence. But again, there's only so many teams that could afford to take him on and then give him that extension, that max extension that he's going to be due next year anyway.
Darius Slay contemplating retirement because he doesn't want to go to Buffalo. And by the way, shout out to Buffalo Bills and their fan base at this point. When you look in like the NFL, like the Green Bays of the world, unique situations, like Buffalo still plays that old, dingy, cheap college football field, which they're going to go to a big toaster next year. But usually sitting ingrained, like, when you go into Buffalo, you're going to have to play in the elements. Darius Slay's like, man, I'm getting old. Love you, Buffalo. It's too damn cold there because it's so much warmer in Philadelphia. I got to get there. How about that? Yeah.
It's hilarious that he's like, and Drew Rosenhaus trying to smooth things over, be like, listen, Darius is just so So grateful and so thankful that a top-notch organization, stop. This reminds me of remember when like guys like Richie Incognito and
Oh,
Merriman,
yeah.
and none of them wanted to go to Buffalo either. They're like, yeah, no, we're good. Like, no, we don't want to go there. So it feels like that's what Darius Slay is taking a page out of. Like, I'm not going to Buffalo. It's not happening.
I remember back in the 1980s, like Green Bay was a really bad franchise, and like players that weren't performing, they would always get told like, "Hey, man, I'm going to send you to Green Bay if you don't." Oh, coach, don't do it. I'll play better. I'll make sure I study my playbook at this point. And that's what it sounded like. I'm old. I got to pick where I'm going. It's too cold in Buffalo. I just might retire, knowing that the minute he says he wants to retire and they let him go, he's going to end up over at the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll see how that one plays out. Russell Wilson, CBS in the booth. Joe. Are we going to get more just Russell-isms when he's in the booth here? Are we going to get pretty good commentary from Russ? That's what I'm interested to see here.
Yeah, no. He's listening to him is like watching paint dry, Donnie. There is nothing exciting about Russell Wilson whatsoever. Kind of like his quarterback play over the last 4 or 5 years. He should have been working on that 4 years ago instead of ruining the Denver Broncos chances while he was there. So yeah, no, it's a good move for him, and somebody will hire him to bore everybody to death while watching football games in the near future.
World Cup draw is today. Some people are telling me that Lionel Messi might be waiting for the Cup draw to see if he actually wants to play in the World Cup. I love when athletes do this, and I don't know if it just want to get talked about. Like, you know what? I don't know if I'm playing here. You play in the MLS. You don't want to play in the World Cup now for your home country? Stop.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's it's that Miami life now, man. You get real laid back, real nice and neat, but I promise you, by the time the Cup comes around, he will, in fact, be a part of it. Might be his last one, but yes, he will be a part of it.
By the way, he said, like, I'll be there in one way or another. Like, I'll be watching from the stands, if not playing. Stop it. You will be playing. When you have a chance to play for the World Cup and your home nation, you're going to do it one more time. You know he's going to be back out there. How about the Yankees? They announced their coaching staff. Get excited, Yankee fans. Steinbrenner told you, hey, man, don't worry about our payroll here. Look at our coaches.
Yeah, well, listen. You got to take care of the bases, right? This is not going to help them at all. Who are we kidding? Yeah, like most people wouldn't even know who it is or what it is. So kudos to the Yankees for starting really from the outside, and now they're going to try to work inside. That should be a whole lot of fun.
Look, the hot stove, you want to get it going. We just talked about Penn State ad nauseum today, going like, hey, when you fire James Franklin, the fan base is excited because you feel like a rock star is coming in, only to find out you don't even have a coach. And the Yankees like, hey, how can we improve our team? The fans are like, just give us Aaron Boone on a platter and we will cheer you on next year. You're going to get Aaron Boone, and here's the rest of our coaching staff, and you're going to like it. And then my owner is going to come on TV and be like, stop it. We pay $100 million to New York City. We can't afford any more baseball players. Thanks for nothing there up there for the New York Yankees. Jalen Carter, he ain't playing Monday night. Matter of fact, we don't even know when he's going to play next. Double procedures on both shoulders for the big man in the middle for the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't understand the both shoulders thing, Donnie. And are they expecting him? I mean, obviously he's ruled out for the Charger game on Monday, but how much longer after that? Because he's a big part of what the Eagles are going to want to do defensively moving forward. So hopefully he's back sooner rather than later for Eagles fans.
Shoulder replacement surgery, Joe, is what I'm hearing. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what they're doing to him, but they're being very secretive about this. Hopefully he's back at least by the end of the regular season, and the Dallas Cowboys haven't passed the Philadelphia Eagles by then, but they are playing on Monday night. Hey, he got a procedure there, Joe, in his shoulders. A quarterback in that game has pins in his wrist. He's like, you know what, brother? I'm playing in that one.
Yeah, listen, there's a big difference between defensive line and quarterback, apparently, in toughness. Who knew, Donnie? Who knew?
Coach Terry's coming up next here to Football Friday on the Grid. We're going to ask about the SEC, about the Big Ten, about Coach Cignetti, and much more. Just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You then had a sensational game with the Bears and the Eagles. Who knew how great the Bears were in terms of blowing out the Eagles and maybe having the NFC race go topsy-turvy. And then you also had the 2 NBA games. So it was a big win, I thought, for Amazon for their first ever really big Black Friday day. I think it's something we see them doing now forever on that Black Friday.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Oh, we're right back on a Football Friday and really excited. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Raineri, and it's Coach Terry Bowden. We have so much to talk about this week, so much up in the air, Coach. You've been through all these wars in college football. How about a television show that tells you when and where you're allowed to play, Coach? It's insane, isn't it?
It is getting crazy. You know what? I'm so tired about seeing which coach is going to go where or hearing about Lane Kiffin. I'm ready to talk about anything else.
Yeah, let's get right down to the business here. I mean, it's about on the field, not off the field. And by the way, Lane Kiffin is supposed to show up at the SEC championship game to be interviewed. That should be wild in itself. But, Coach, let's get right down to the business here. Georgia and Alabama are going to play. Before I let you answer, let's hear from Kirby Smart right now about being conservative in the playoffs.
Kirby, given the injury risk that goes along with the SEC championship, what's better for your teams, to be part of the next week or to go straight into the season?
If you worry about injury risk, we won't practice next week. So, like, you live your life scared of injuries, you know what you get? A very scared team. And there's also an opportunity to win an SEC championship. Does that matter? Does anybody care about that anymore? I mean, I grew up thinking that was the greatest game in the world. And I just differed from everybody else. Yeah, we lost guys today to injured. We're going to lose guys in practice to injury. But that's next man up. Like, that's what's wrong with this whole thing now. It's like, well, what if you get hurt? What if you do this? What if you do that? I mean, it's football. It's all part of it.
Coach, taking it easy in the SEC championship game. What? Come on now.
The college football will never be quite like the NFL because of conference championships. Now, Kirby Smart has not been successful against Alabama. 0-2 against Kalen DeBoer. This is huge to him. This is personal to him, and it is very big. He played at Georgia when I was a head coach at Auburn. He was in the defensive backfield playing against me. It means a lot. It's a huge game, and it will always be big, especially in the South, that conference championship.
Coach, how much do you look at that game, that first game between those two teams? Is there anything to take? It feels like it was a million years ago here. Yeah. It felt like Georgia got better as the game went on. So, and what kind of adjustments do the coaches make here, if any?
Well, the Georgia has had a problem all year, and especially against Alabama, falling behind in the first half and then spending the entire game catching up. Georgia has got to stay even. I don't care if they're losing by 7.5, but stay even, keep pounding the football, play good defense, because I think they'll overwhelm Alabama in the second half. That's been their MO the whole year. They've just got to make sure they don't fall behind, because Alabama is very talented. Their quarterback is a winner. They've got some big play people on offense. And so Georgia, if they'll just stay close, I think they win it like they've done all year. And let me say this, when you play twice in 1 year in college football and you lose the first time, you got a good chance of winning the second time. It always happens. I'm going to go back to Florida State. My dad in 96 played Florida during the regular season, beat them 24-21. They met up again in the national championship. He lost 52-20. He lost 52-20 in the championship. Georgia will find a way to win this game.
Coach, let me ask you a question on this, too. We understand if Alabama wins, of course they're in. Alabama loses. Right. Is there a chance that they could be left out of the college football playoff?
I think there's going to be some serious questions that have to be answered. Let's go a little bit further. What if Duke wins, and now you've got to find a way to fit somebody in, another G5 team possibly? Now if you have no ACC teams, they've got to find a way to get Miami in. They've got to find a way to get a ACC team where it blows up this whole thing, because that's a lot of investment by the ACC, and that they get a team in there. So there's a lot to happen. But I do think if Alabama loses, there is a question, not that they don't deserve to be in, because you shouldn't play a conference championship and fall out. But that committee has got to look at how they treat the ACC if Duke blows it up a little bit.
Well, listen, Miami's best shot of getting in is they need Texas Tech to handle business against BYU. Now, to your point, you just said teams that play twice. Well, the market doesn't think we're going to get anything different than we got the first game, Coach, because it's 12.5 in a Big 12 championship. Do we get any different result than we got last time?
Well, I think not Texas Tech. I think, unless one team is definitely better than the other team, and I do think Texas Tech is better than BYU, they've won, their 11 wins out of their 12 games have been by over 20 points. They have been that good in their victories. And the game that they lost, their quarterback was out. I just think they're better. I think they've got this game, and I think they'll win this game. It's a case of them just being a better football team, especially defensive front. And I think they slow down BYU and they win this game.
Coach, I know you'll be watching on Saturday night, 8 p.m. What a game we have in the Big Ten. Two teams undefeated. That's Indiana and Ohio State. And Indiana, not used to being in this position. Talk to us about how prepared Indiana will be. And also, Curt Cignetti, he wants this game bad.
Yeah, and of course, I know Curt, and I've known him all of his life, and I watched the coach. He's really the more experienced head coach. You look at what he's done. He's been in a lot more postseason games. I think you may be able to – his coaching is not going to be sub what Ohio State's is. But when you look at this team, number one, defense, Ohio State. Number two, offense, Indiana. Both quarterbacks, I call that pretty even. When I look at this game, who has the most veteran NFL talent? Who's got the most talent on that field during the entire game? And that's still Ohio State. And so until I see Indiana do that, I've got to take Ohio State to cover.
You want to, is Ryan Day, he's been here and done this before, though, Coach. Like, how much of that playbook is he opening up?
It's all going to be there. I promise you. I don't downplay the type of coach that he is. Curt has been, when you win at a lot of different schools and you take them to championships, I'm one. I know for a fact it's no easier in Division III than it is in Division II and backwards. So, but he'll lay it out there and do everything he can. That Big Ten championship's like the SEC championship.
Now, Coach, we have you on each and every week. We'll talk to you again tomorrow as the games go on. But let me ask you this question. You're sharp as a tack right now. Penn State doesn't have a football coach. It's about time. Bowden has landed in State College. What do you say? Come on. Put your hat in the ring.
Well, when my dad was at West Virginia and I was at West Virginia, we lost about 20 straight years to Penn State. During those days, it was tough. But let me... No, I think I'm best talking to y'all each week on the football. I did my 30 years of duty, but I'll say this: I've heard the name Matt Campbell. I've coached against him. Great coach. They ought to go down and talk Tony Elliott into as those two would be great choices. I don't hear much about that.
Thank you, Coach Terry Bowden. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your weekend here. We'll be right back on the early line.
1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had recent success, maybe not so young, but not they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. And Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real.
Yeah.
They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be number 1 in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Kalshi time, people, on a Friday. Get the latest information, trade it like the stock market, and have some fun with the current topics that you need to know. Joe, did you know it is a football Friday, and we call American football, but the rest of the world calls football soccer like we call it there? Look at that. The draw's coming up today. Any interest in the draw? Will you take time out of your day to make sure you have the draw so you can start putting together advantages for which team you want to bet?
Well, it's funny, Donnie, because they do say the draw on this really is just as exciting as the games, because this is where a lot of the handicapping comes in, right? Who's going to be playing who, when, who's in the group of death, who's not. I mean, this is actually, as far as the World Cup and soccer goes, this is huge what's going to happen today at noon.
Need some insider info, because if we take a look at the Kalshi markets today, the 2026 Men's World Cup winner, you can bet on that. And Spain right now is an 18% chance to win the World Cup. So if we put $100 down on that, Joe, pays back $556. But as Joe just pointed out, this is like, we don't know who's playing who. Spain could have the easiest run, and you say, I bet it now. Whoa, I got lucky. Or, Joe, what? I have Spain. Yeah. I don't even know if they're going to make it out of their group because of how tough it is here. It's hard to bet on this before we actually see the draw, but that's the fun of it. You could catch lightning in a bottle, or you could be like yesterday in that Detroit Lions game. Hey, man, love my guy Kennedy at wideout. Oh, no, Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back. Dude doesn't even get a catch where he probably would have 4 or 5 if Amon-Ra St. Brown. How do you play this out, Joe? Viable to bet it now? And also, just looking at the teams without who they play, who do you like?
Well, Donnie, I mean, we're talking about 48 countries going to be split into 12 groups of 4 for the group stages. So you're right. I mean, it makes it difficult, but you can always, look back. History tells us a lot with the World Cup, right? There are always going to be those blue bloods, much like March Madness, right, Donnie? There's always going to be those 4 or 5 teams that you're going, they are likely going to be there. And there's a reason why teams like Spain and a few others are going to be sitting at the top of the odds board right now. Been there, done that, experience. I don't think you can go wrong, Donnie, no matter, even before we know exactly what the group stage is going to look like, in backing those teams.
Soccer is the world's game. We understand that. It's just not the United States' game. But, Joe, you know me. Right. I am a conspiracy theorist. Is it advantageous to give the U.S. team an advantageous draw here and not put them in a tough one? Because the longer the United States teams comes in, the more revenue, the more ads come in, the more eyeballs stay on this thing. Could we be buying into this? Because the U.S. listed right now at 4%, Joe. A $100 wager pays $2,500. Can you imagine the U.S. team, the national team, winning the World Cup?
Yeah, no, I can't. Not even remotely close there, Donnie. But would it shock me if France or Spain or England or even Brazil is there at MetLife for the championship? No, it would not in any way, shape, or form. But listen, I do think everything in stages, right? Team USA has come a long way, Donnie. A lot of controversy over the years. Well, a lot of people think this could be the best group that we have had in decades. So I would be pleasantly shocked, Donnie, to say the least, if they end up having a really great showing.
We'll find out here. How about this? The pro basketball market that you've been waiting for, Joe, which opened up on November 27th on Kalshi. 3-pointers made per game leaders. What name comes initially to mind? It's always going to be Steph Curry, and he's listed, Joe, had a 77% chance. A $100 wager will return $130, which means a 30% investment increase. But, of course, you're not going to know until April when the NBA season ends, followed by Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic, Con Knipple, and Tyrese Maxey. Now, we're assuming the 3-pointers made per game leader, which means the average on when you play, which is interesting. Like, it's like, oh, whoa. Steph hasn't been injured the whole year. He played all 82 games. That's unfair. Like, no, I'm assuming that there is a cutoff of a minimum amount of games you have to play and how many threes you make per game, not how many in total, Joe, that you make, I think.
I think that's where you're going to. But either which way, you're going to, anytime you have the name, 3 points you're talking about in the NBA, it's going to be Steph Curry. Everybody is going to gravitate to. But there might be some value in that market. On maybe a Donovan Mitchell that could surprise a lot of people.
How about Giannis Antetokounmpo's next team, Joe? You want to plunk down $100 on the Philadelphia 76ers? That pays you back $10,000, baby. Sixers, get Giannis. I'm putting it out there. Look, I'm sending Coach Bowles to Penn State. I'm sending Giannis to Philadelphia. I'm a deal maker. I'm a matchmaker. We'll be right back. More NFL on a Football Friday.
You're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, I don't. That's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The New England Patriots with Drake May, the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't had like recent success, maybe not so young, but not, they haven't had playoff success. Right. The Jags, it's a very fresh playoff picture, so to speak. The Chargers hanging on right now to that 5. And Kansas City, Scott, they're going to need to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Now it's real. Yeah. They lose this game, they're not making the playoffs.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave. Yep. He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And FanDuel are getting ready to launch their own prediction market, so Polymarket will be coming back at a time when the competitive landscape is dominated by Kalshi, and soon it's going to have FanDuel and DraftKings in there as well, which I'm really eager to see what their products look like and how the timing kind of impacts the use of Polymarket. Will it be #1 in the App Store for the next couple months? Who knows?
Newswire. only on SportsGrid.
Joe Raineri's waited all football season long for this Sunday at 1 o'clock in Cleveland. Tennessee and Cleveland, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders to settle it on the field, Joe, once and for all. Who is the best rookie quarterback and who should have went number one overall? Ward has been terrible because his team stinks. Shedeur Sanders has a passer rating that is decent, but his QBR rating is absolutely atrocious. The favorites in this game are the Cleveland Browns at 3.5. Even some outlets, Joe, as high as -4. The total extremely low at 33.5. Got to be the lowest point this season. Cloudy conditions, 32, 33-degree temperatures, not too bad. No precipitation and winds, Joe, 10 miles an hour or less. Can we get over to 33.5? But more importantly, who's going to score and who's going to win?
How is Cleveland at more than a field goal favorite over anybody? Listen, Shedeur Sanders right now is the worst quarterback as far as success rate goes in the NFL. 28.9% success rate. Just to give you some reference, Donnie, Dylan Gabriel, his success rate as a quarterback, 35.4%. Yeah. So the Browns are starting the single worst quarterback in the NFL this week. How are they being favored over anybody is beyond me. Not to mention, Conklin is out. Their starting right tackle is out. His backup is an absolute train wreck. Jeffrey Simmons is going to be all over Shedeur Sanders, who's going to be forced into very bad situations. Call me crazy. The Browns can, they might win this game and we can keep relying on the Browns defense to win games. But at some point, my goodness, this should be a pick at best. All the value to me is in taking the points, Donnie, which is what I'm going to do. I could only back the underdog in this spot.
We're correlating 4 touchdowns in this game, right? 33.5, 4 touchdowns and a couple field goals. If I ask you this question, the passing yards, Shedeur Sanders, 159.5, Cam Ward, 178.5. And also, if I am Stefanski, we're not at the point of the season right now where I'm looking at wins and that's really what we need. It's let me put some game film together on Shedeur Sanders. Can he be our future guy? Doesn't he have to against Tennessee, Joe? Throw at least 20-plus times, which you figure he should get to 160 yards? I mean, just thinking outside the box.
Yeah, you would think, Donnie. But again, even when he's had opportunities to throw the ball, he's not very successful doing it. So that's the other problem. And if you can't protect a young quarterback like this, bad things are going to happen. Field position's going to be good. I think, Donnie, what you ultimately have to do is handicap who has the better kicker, who has the better field goal kicker, because that's ultimately, I think, what's going to decide who wins this game.
I mean, you take a look also at the receiving props in this one. This is what makes it so fascinating because usually we look at a game like last night, 55.5, let's call it. You had 83.5, 82.5, and 8.5 for most of the day until we saw Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back for wide receivers. That was Pickens on one side, CeeDee Lamb on one side, and then on the opposite side, it was Jamison Williams. The leader in the clubhouse right now is Harold Fannin Jr., a tight end at 37.5 yards. That's the game leader. You know where Jerry Jeudy sits? 31.5 at FanDuel and 29.5 at Bet365. Somebody has to catch passes in this game, but I just find it fascinating where I look and say to myself, who are we actually getting to catch the football? So, Joe, 33.5 points. Is there a chance it actually goes over, or is this stone cold 17-10 final?
It feels that way, Donnie. It is very difficult. I mean, I think 33 is probably the right number. I think it's priced exactly where it needs to be. Would I be 100%? Would I be shocked if this thing, lands over the total? No, but I'm with you. This feels more like a, 14-10 kind of game than it does anything else.
Yeah, all right. Take a look at Seattle and Atlanta. Atlanta just can't win football games. It's not what they do anymore. Kirk Cousins is under center. He looks like a fossil back there, dropping back the pass. Doesn't have much talent at wide receiver, but he does have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. But I don't know how good that's going to be. Seattle's defense is really good. Seattle is on the road. It's in the Dome. Not worried about any cold weather conditions here. Do we have a bounce-back game on offense for Seattle? Because you might say to yourself, like, oh, what do you mean? Scored 26 points last week. Well, not necessarily. He did have a defensive touchdown, and they just took the air out of the football. Atlanta, can they show up as roughly 7-point dogs, win or cover? Or is this Raheem Morris just playing out the string there with Atlanta at this point?
Well, here's the problem. Like, and we alluded to this a little bit earlier, is that, Sam Darnold's history as a quarterback in the NFL is, not great against the teams he's supposed to beat. And that's a little bit worrisome here, that you're expecting this team to go on the road against a desperate Atlanta team who's always been better at home anyway than they've been anyplace else. Not that that's saying much, but the reality is they still have some weapons. They still have a good running game. The defense should be a little bit better, and I don't trust Sam Darnold in these kinds of spots, laying these kinds of numbers. Seattle will win? Likely. Are they going to be winning by more than a touchdown? That's a big ask here, Donnie, with him.
How about a big ass Tyler Shuck going on the road and knocking off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? But they don't have to actually win this game. They do have to cover the spread. That's 8.5 points as a favorite towards Tampa. What did we see last week, Joe? We saw Baker Mayfield, who we thought his arm fell off, only to play and throw and look pretty successful in that game. Also, you get your running backs all in order. Bucky looked good last week. Maybe an extra week of practice helps him as well. I do think the Bucs win, but that's not the question. Can the Bucs cover the 8.5 here, Joe?
Have we seen anything from Tampa that makes us think they're worth laying 8.5 points against anybody here? It's not as if New Orleans rolled over on the road against Miami last week. They had an opportunity to actually win that game. The defense is playing very, very well. And by the way, Baker Mayfield, 16-10 straight up, but 7-19 against the number as a home favorite since 2020. They are much better as an underdog, this Tampa Bay team with Baker Mayfield. Not a team laying 8.5 points, Donnie. This could be a hold your nose and take the points here, because I don't trust them at all.
How about another hold your nose and take the points action here? That's Miami, and it's the New York Jets taking place in the Meadowlands. If I'm getting an updated weather report in this game, Joe, 37 degrees. Winds, though, 3 miles per hour, no precipitation here. That should help the quarterbacks play, but also a favorite all week long, as you see on the graphic, at a 3-point favorite for the Miami Dolphins in the total of 41.5. However, Joe, only about 35% of the tickets are coming in on the Jets without any movement here. That's interesting to me. The Jets, I do think, can play with Miami in this football game and move it here. I'm going to take the Jets getting the 3 points to keep it close, if not maybe win this game like we just saw last week.
Yeah, I'm not. Absolutely. I want nothing to do with the New York. How many more kick returns,
your Jets,
punt
your
returns?
Jets. This is your
Like,
Jets.
no, absolutely not. I'll tell you. And by the way, they're coming off a monster upset win against Atlanta. Atlanta outgained them, Donnie, by nearly 150 yards in that game. You got to be kidding me. Absolutely not. Not to mention 6-0. As a starter. For whatever reason, Tua has owned this Jets team in this spot in this game. I also think we're probably getting more points than people realize. I think the total, Donnie, 40.5, 41.5, somewhere in that ballpark. Would not shock me with Tyrod Taylor if he uses his legs, and both of these teams put up way more points than the market thinks, especially when they played already, and that total closed at 44 back in week 4. I kind of like the over in this game more than anything else.
Both of those running backs should have some success, which is really going to help those teams. So we'll find out. It's one of those sneaky ones that you look at. But also, usually when you think Meadowlands in December, Miami, oh no, too cold, too windy. There's no wind out there. Those quarterbacks will be able to throw the football. We'll find out a little bit later this weekend who the victor is going to be. 4:05 start on Sunday. Quickly here, Joe. Denver and Las Vegas. Bo Nix on the road, over a touchdown favorite. Max Crosby didn't practice yesterday. If he doesn't go, the heck do they have?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. What do they have? But again, Denver on the road, laying a big number, not exactly great. I would take Vegas in the first half.
Football Friday, people. That's how we get down to business. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Raineri. We're going to keep rolling along. More games on deck next.
They have a bigger talent pool potentially, and they're going to give them anything it takes to potentially get this team back to a national championship. And if you want to set a legacy, you could maybe have one good year at Ole Miss and maybe potentially, 5 or 6 9-3 campaigns, but you're not going to make the playoff each and every season, or at least that's the mindset. You have a better path at LSU or a bigger school.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I zig.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Rams might have thought they were having a little bit of a soft point in their schedule to pick up some easy victories on the road last week against Carolina. Had a lead in that game. The rain came in the second half, and they lost that game. And credit, the Carolina Panthers are staying in the playoff race, or at least in that NFC South race. But now the Rams head back out onto the road this week. They'll be back in the Dome in Arizona to take on Jacoby Brissett and the Arizona Cardinals. But the feisty Arizona Cardinals, at least on offense, the Rams are a heavy favorite in this game, Joe. Minus 8.5 points in a total. That's listed at 48.5. I'm looking at points in this game because I know the Rams can score, but I just like what I see out of Arizona. They'll push the football downfield, forcing the Rams to stay in this game and continue their scoring. 48.5, 47.5 in the marketplace. I think we can get into the 50s in this game.
Yeah, and listen, I think that it's so funny because the Rams dominated that game against Carolina before the rain started in the second half, Donnie. I don't think they didn't see a fourth down in the entire first half. And then the skies opened up, and then, of course, the 3 turnovers, and then that was it. So I would kind of be shocked, though, if McVay says, all right, let's drop them back 40 times again, and let's see what happens. I think they're going to rely a little bit more on the running game here and try to win this game in the trenches. Listen, Arizona has shown some fight, and it's really nice, but the number 1 team against defending tight ends this year is the Rams defense. Without Trey McBride, who exactly are you going to, Brissett? So I think that, yes, this is a good bounce back spot for the Rams. I would lay it in this opportunity against this Arizona team.
Yeah, I think we do get some points. I think it makes some sense in that game. And again, we're not worried about, hey, 22-degree conditions and snow coming in. They're playing in a dome here, which is exactly both of those teams want to be. One team looking for the playoffs, the Rams, one team out of it for Arizona. We'll see how long Jonathan Gannon makes it also as the head coach for the Cardinals here. How about this game, Joe? 4:25 national game. The Chicago Bears, one of the hottest teams in professional football, just knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles. They would be the number 1 seed if the season ended today. Green Bay and Mr. Love at home. A lot of love actually going to the Bears, Joe. 80+% of the tickets coming in on the Bears. This line opened up at 5.5, but now we see 6.5 across the board in the total of 44.5. Freezing cold Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra. How are we playing this one?
Well, listen, I'll say this. We're going to learn a little bit about the Chicago Bears this week and whether or not what we have seen thus far is sustainable for them moving forward. I have always had my doubts, and I think this is a game where it's going to get exposed because I don't think the Bears are going to be able to run the ball successfully on the road against this Packers defense, who is really, top 6 or 7 in the NFL in stopping it, which means Caleb Williams is a guy that is going to have to try to use his arm to beat Green Bay, and that is where I think everything will come crashing back down to reality here. Green Bay cannot lose a third game at Lambeau as a favorite. Kind of hard to believe they lost the first 2 there. I do think that the Green Bay Packers make a statement in this game, win this game, and will keep their foot on the gas in the fourth quarter.
Would be a big statement win if Chicago can go into Lambeau and win that game, then to be the front runners there to win the NFC North. Houston and Kansas City. I'm intrigued by this game on Sunday. I can't wait to watch it play out. This isn't the Kansas City team that we're used to. They came up lame against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. They're going to face maybe the best defense in professional football, and the offensive line is banged up for Kansas City. They're not as explosive as they were. They're going to be held their feet to the fire going up against that defense. The question is, though, can C.J. Stroud come up with a game plan to beat Steve Spagnuolo in his own building? A 3.5-point favorite for the Chiefs and a total 41.5. Man, a Chiefs game at 41.5. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Houston has had to empty the tank a lot just to get back to this point, Donnie, where they're now, of course, back into the thick of thing in the division and everything else. And you got to wonder, you've got a very desperate and championship Kansas City team here at home. Weather doesn't look to be great here. And Houston has always been better at home this season, that defense, than on the road. So now we're in December. And now all of a sudden, weather is going to be an issue. You're going into an environment here in Kansas City that they have owned. I wonder how much Houston has left in the tank here. It feels like, listen, 5 in a row. It's likely 6 in a row with the Kansas City Chiefs here.
Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers, 2 teams battling to make it into the playoffs. The Eagles hoping to win their division, but have sort of been collapsing as of late and getting injured, quite frankly. But they're going to take on the Chargers, who don't have a very good offensive line, and now their quarterback has a broken hand. He's probably going to play, but can he take snaps under center? How's it going to affect the running game? Can he protect himself in the pocket? But the bigger questions are, what are we getting out of the Philadelphia Eagles on offense, particularly from Jalen Hurts? You have a game that's played in a dome, no cold weathers, no swirly, windy conditions. They should have a different offensive game plan. But again, Joe, they're favored in this game, -2.5. That's a surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah, it really is here. I mean, to me, I want nothing to do with the side in this. I would much rather go with the under here, Donnie, because I think that we have seen, especially home dogs here, right? The last 34 Monday Night Football games where there was a home dog involved have gone under. 23-9, 72%, only 40 points per game. So the home team dog usually puts up a pretty big fight. And I think both defenses are going to be the best units on the field, Donnie, in that game.
Yeah, no, it's one to play out because I expect better performances, and you're just doing that old double up. There are big prices on touchdown props for A.J. Brown and also Devontae Smith in this game, and also for Jalen Hurts to go for over 1.5 touchdown passes. And also one of those PSAs that we like. All year long, it felt like the market was really collapsing on over 1.5 touchdowns. You have to pay egregious numbers. That's not the case this weekend, so maybe some bounce backs. And if you thought last night, like, hey, look at that game last night, all the amount of scoring they did. You see what the quarterbacks did yesterday? Barely thrown for any touchdown passes in that game. Most of the damage was done on the ground. We'll see if that bounces back. But we got a full schedule, which included that Monday night game we just hit for Philadelphia and Los Angeles. But now we're going to get to in the next segment. Bye. Me and Joe need some winners. Start off the week hot, cooled off a little bit, but Friday is payday, if I can say that. That's how excited I am to get to the picks, to get to what the people have to say, and to end this show in style on a Friday. It's how we get down, people. It's a SportsGrid Network. Come on back with us.
They have a bigger talent pool potentially, and they're going to give them anything it takes to potentially get this team back to a national championship. And if you want to set a legacy, you could maybe have one good year at Ole Miss and maybe potentially, 5 or 6 9-3 campaigns, but you're not going to make the playoff each and every season, or at least that's the mindset. You have a better path at LSU or a bigger school.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
The energy was high all show. The energy was high all week. What an important weekend of sports we have this weekend, Joe Raineri, because tonight we start the college football countdown. We'll have important games tonight, major consequence games tomorrow, and teams that aren't even playing that will be tuned in and rooting for certain people to win and certain people to lose. Then Sunday, by about noon, we'll find exactly who is going to be in the college football playoff. I love this week, Joe. I think it's going to be fantastic, but before we get there, we like to reach out to the people and ask them for their thoughts on a certain topic. Here's Fade the Public. Let's get to the marketplace, people, and understand this. Sometimes we take a look back, Joe, last night and see what happened there and try to apply it to a future question. That question that we asked at SportsGrid on X today, will the Cowboys make the playoffs this season? Red hot over the past couple games, needed to beat Detroit. They didn't beat Detroit. They're back to 500. And take a look at this poll. Will the Cowboys make the playoffs this season? The simple question was yes or no. No at minus 1,400 leads the way with close to 89% of the live vote. People not believing in those Dallas Cowboys, Joe Raineri.
Well, I mean, listen, that's pretty good value right now at the yes, right, Donnie? Giving yourself an opportunity because, again, they win a couple more games and all of a sudden that number begins to increase here. And listen, anything is possible. In order for that, you have to be so convinced that Philadelphia has just been playing with its food and they're going to snap their fingers and somehow just run away with everything. If you think there's a chance that doesn't happen, yeah, I'd rather much have it at this price, Donnie, than wait after a couple of games where Dallas is now just a game behind them, and we're all going, oh, my goodness, I should have backed Dallas when I had the chance.
Yeah, it feels like now that they're really just on Eagles watch because the Eagles play the Chargers. If the Eagles beat the Chargers, it's probably a wrap because the following week the Eagles play the Raiders at home. They don't need anybody active or ready to go, and they'll probably clinch the division at that point. But it does get a little tedious because the one thing you look at, it says the Eagles have the fourth easiest schedule on the way out. I'm like, ooh, that helps the Eagles. But understand this. If Washington under Dan Quinn is bringing back Jaden Daniels and you play them 2 times before the season ends and still have the Buffalo Bills, that's no cakewalk for a Philadelphia Eagles team right now just looking to get right at this point. We'll see where that goes. But now, Joe, you know where we go? To our buy best bets on a Friday. We was robbed last night on a couple games. Should have at least got a split at worst case scenario. Probably should have went 2-0, but that's neither here nor there. Sweeps on Monday, sweeps on Tuesday, reverse sweeps on Wednesday and Thursday, but it all comes down to Friday for that winning week today. Joe, where are we headed?
We are headed, Donnie, to, well, none other than college football here. And if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it. We have cashed a number of tickets on the Kennesaw State Owls this year. And you heard Coach Bowden earlier in the show, Donnie, say, hey, when a team that are pretty much equal here or close to being equal play for a second time in the season, well, it's advantage to the team that lost the first game. And that's exactly what we have here. Jacksonville State is hosting this game because they beat Kennesaw State at home a few weeks ago, 35-26. But forget that number. Look at the numbers. Kennesaw State blasted them. The problem was they had 4 turnovers in the game, but they outgained them, Donnie, by nearly 180 yards in that game here. They have one of the worst defenses, Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State's better offensively. They are very one-dimensional, Jacksonville State, when it comes to offense. They can only run the ball, and if they can't run the ball, guess what? They're out of luck here. I like Kennesaw State. They're a bit better defensively. They are significantly better offensively. Revenge game. Give me Kennesaw State on the money line to get it done tonight, Donnie.
Let's go, Kennesaw State for me. I'm going to head to the association tonight and take my talents on the road to Memphis. And no, I'm not taking the Memphis Grizzlies. The Clippers got rid of Chris Paul. They're on fire with a win over the Atlanta Hawks the other night. Just being facetious, but only 40% of the public backing the Clippers tonight. Line opened up at -1. Line currently sits now at -1.5. My public fade tonight is going to be taking the Los Angeles Clippers to knock off the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis tonight in the Grindhouse. Let's go, Clippers. Let's go, Kennesaw. Let's cash in, Joe. 2 tickets tonight.
I love it. Get it done. I'm wondering if Chris Paul's going to be at the game. You think? No?
Maybe.
Okay.
First row,
like
second row.
Still
up
like
in the booth at that point. Huge stuff going down this weekend, which you got to be here on Monday with us again on the early line. I'm sure it's going to be absolute mayhem. We'll see you later. Take a look at it and say, all right, well, can they do this? But the one thing I know, every year I love the SEC championship game. Like this year, we're going to get a pretty good treat in the Big Ten because you have Indiana and Ohio State. But every single year, it's never like I don't have to watch that. Because the reason I bring that up is there's a game that's going to be on 8 o'clock that probably should just be played at midnight or 1 a.m. The ACC championship game. Like, things are not the same.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Splash Brothers? How about the Curry Brothers? Curry Brothers have been reunited, folks, as Seth Curry has signed for the rest of the year, according to Shams Charania. This is a good sign for a Warriors team for what they need off the bench. Coming off a career year where he shot 45.6% from three. He is a career 43.3% shooter from three-point range.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Chris Beard said, I can just play different players. And kudos to Chris Beard. NIL does not matter. Recruiting rankings don't matter. Who your AAU coaches doesn't matter. At the end of the day as a coach, your loyalty is to your school. Your loyalty is to all the kids in the program.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.